you said, yeah? You have a mother. Good. Imagine your mum and dad brought you to this age. How old are you? 16. You're 16. Imagine you turn around and say, Mum, Dad, you've done F all for me. Imagine. You've done nothing for me. I'm going to go and thank Ali. How would they feel? Ashamed? Betrayed? They'll say, so what an ungrateful girl? Good. Now, what do you think the Christians are doing when instead of giving the credit that belongs to God, you go and say, Jesus, thank you? Instead of saying, thank you, God, the one who created Jesus, you are giving the credit to Jesus. And guess what? Good. But what did Jesus say? Jesus always bigged up who? The Father. He said, I and myself can do nothing. As I see, I judge. And my judgment is just, for I don't seek my will, but the will of my Father. Why does he keep referring to Father?
Because that's the Trinity. And
if they were equal, why would he give credit to someone else? So if, for example, me and you were equal, yeah? And somebody came and gave me and said, you know what, Ali? You're an amazing artist. And I go, well, don't say thank you to me. I've learned it from her. That means you are superior. I've learned it from you, correct? So then why is Jesus saying, my Father? When they came and said, oh, good master, he said, well, don't call me good. There is only one good. That's God alone. When he went to the mountain of Gethsemane and prayed like we Muslims pray.
we pray as well.
Good. So who is he praying to if he's God? But I thought he is the Father.
He is a
Good.
son. And the son's the Father.
Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
So what I'm saying, my dear sister, is in a nutshell. Obviously, I don't want to hold you too much. Your friends, maybe you guys need to go. I don't want to hold you too much, my dear sister. What I'm saying is the following. If we put all religions aside, you know what I called it the fitrah. You will believe that God is one and he's not a man.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that.
Exactly.
But I think as well, I think as well Muhammad, like, because in the Quran it also says that Jesus was sinless, correct?
Jesus was what?
Sinless?
Yeah, we believe all prophets are sinless.
I thought, what, Muhammad was sinless?
No, I'm saying, but Prophet Muhammad, when it comes to, for example, humanly things that he did, he made mistakes. But in general, we believe all prophets, they cannot commit major sins. All of them. There's no discrimination with one or the other.
Shias.
I'm Sunni. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But it's what I don't understand as well is how, and no disrespect, is
No, please.
how if God was all-knowing,
Yeah.
then why would he let Muhammad marry 6 years?
Okay, good question. Yeah.
I can understand that in the time it was different.
Yeah.
And that, but I don't see how
Yeah.
a 56-year-old man
Yes.
and a 6-year-old, when she was supposed to marry when she was
9 years old, yes.
I don't get how an all-knowing God would let a man
Okay.
that age.
Perfect.
When we know now scientifically that a 9-year-old girl and
Yeah.
a 6-year-old man
Yeah.
clearly had the young girl because she's not as
Okay, so what we do is, sister, with this instance, what happens is we look at the situation with what's going on now. So we look at a 9-year-old now and go, oh my gosh. But what we're saying is that we're talking about 1400 years ago. In this country, about 100 years ago, if you read William Blackstone's book on British common law, girls were betrothed at the age of 7. In this, I never said it does. I'm not saying it does. I'm just trying to prove a point that this happened 100 years ago, let alone 1400 years ago. Now, what we're saying is the following. We believe that, for example, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, we look at his character. We look at who he was. Because when an accusation is an aspersion, for example, about your father, if somebody comes and says something about your father, you hold on a second, I know my dad. And I don't, what you're accusing of him cannot be true.
So you don't believe he married?
No, we do. What we're saying is this aspersion that he was a paedophilic person is not true. Because
someone who's overage marrying a young child?
No. Because what that means, paedophile is someone who has attraction to minors. So what we're saying is the Prophet Muhammad, his first wife, was 25 years older than him. So if somebody has this perversion, why at the age of 25, he was married to someone who was 15 years older than him, and he stayed married to her for 25 years. The question is this, if he had those inclinations and he was a prophet or whatever, he could have easily go and marry multiple 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds. We say number one, we look at his character. The fact that he was married to one woman who was 15 years older than him in his prime when he was 25. Then when she died, he married Aisha. But just bear in mind, the marriage contract was done at the age of 6. When she became an adult, nikah. Now, when I say she became an adult, to you, a 9-year-old, not just puberty, there has to be no harm. Because in this country, it says 16 is the legal age. However, a 16-year-old girl could not be ready. It could harm her. So Islam doesn't put one shoe on all. It says that each girl, it depends on her age, right? So it doesn't say, oh, you're 16 now, you can go and have intimacy. No, it might not. You might not be mentally, sexually, and physically ready.
Do you think she was?
Okay, what we're saying is, if she wasn't, for example, at the age of 9, bear in mind, this is 1400 years ago, 1400 years ago. So we're saying girls back then and the lifespan back then is totally different. Now, one thing that I'll tell you the following. Can you ever lie about love? Like, for example, I don't know, have you ever been in love? Okay. When somebody's in love, you cannot lie about love. You can lie about a lot of stuff, but you cannot fake love. Now, we look at the Prophet's marriage to Aisha, and we look at the dynamics it was. If she was coerced, if she didn't want to be in that marriage, there were certain things that she would have shown that would have been like, hold on a second, this doesn't make sense. Number one, she was perpetually jealous. So anytime the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, argument's sake, there was a attractive woman next to him, she would have this extreme jealousy. So much so, once she made food for the Prophet, and she smashed the plate. Why? Because the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, obviously he was married, we believe in polygamy in Islam. He didn't know. He had some food that was made from his other wife. Now Aisha broke the plate. The question I'm asking is the following, sister. If there was coercion, if this was something abnormal, why didn't his enemies use it against him and say, hold on a second, you say you're a prophet of God, why are you marrying a 9-year-old? Because she was an adult then. You need to understand, for example, you're 16, yeah? Have you heard Akon, did you listen to Akon? Akon, rapper. You haven't heard of Akon? Sorry, it's a different generation. Okay. Akon, a different generation. Akon had a track, it was called Put the Blame on Me. Why? Because he went to a club, there was I think a 11 or 12-year-old girl that was fully matured.
Yeah, no, I understand.
So, what I'm saying is, you can't take a 9-year-old today and a 9-year-old back then and equate them, because the whole dynamic, the climate and the time was totally different.
They're still a 9-year-old.
Then see, this is what I'm saying. You cannot take, look, let me tell you something. You can go to America and you can see 12-year-old girls. They are so developed, you will think this girl is 24 years old. So what I'm saying is the following, that we look at the Prophet's character, we look at his dynamics with Aisha. How could Aisha be coerced and be so jealous of the Prophet? Why did she have that romantic relationship with him? Like, she was jealous, they raced together, the Prophet, peace be upon him, and they would drink from the same cup. She never once, ever contested.
Could that just be because she's a young girl? No, I mean, like, it can be like anything in any relationship.
Yeah.
People can go by whatever they say. You don't have to love someone.
Okay, look, we have, for example, in our Islamic hadith literature, narrations, there are so many things Aisha talks about.
Yeah.
She talks about, for example, when she got angry and she smashed the plate. She talks about so many things that happened between them, between the Prophet. She does not once ever mention that I never wanted to marry him. And not only that, when he died, she could have easily gone and get married again. The thing is this, just because Sorry?
She stayed a widow.
Yeah, she stayed a widow. Not only that, she is one of the biggest scholars in Islam. Because of her young age, you know hadith literature, we learn it from her because she was so young in age. But what I'm saying is the following. We say the Prophet waited, don't forget, when was the marriage made? At the age of 6. When was the marriage consummated? At the age of 9. If the Prophet Muhammad had that inclination, why did he wait 3 years? For what? For her to become an adult. He waited because otherwise, if he had that inclination, an individual who has pedophilic inclinations, he doesn't say, oh, how old are you? 6. I'm going to come back when you're 9. Oh, how old are you? 7. I'm going to come back when you're 10. Why did he wait 3 years? For her to mature and become an adult. That's what we expect. And there is nothing...
I completely understand your point.
Yeah. And
I think
yeah.
especially now, like, morally, I'm just thinking...
Islamically, so what does Islam say about today? Like, is that, like, basically, does that apply? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, let me make it simple. Nowhere in our religion, sister, does it say that we have to marry a 6-year-old or a 9-year-old. We use that model. Let me tell you how.
You shouldn't condemn that as your prophet.
No, we don't condemn it. We condone it. How? Let me explain. For example, the Prophet did the contract at 6. He married at 9. Okay, good. So if I have a son...
Didn't they do, I'm sorry, I'm not
No,
too
it's
sure
fine,
about this, but I don't know what it is in Arabic, but sighing, where instead of...
Say that again?
Sighing, instead of...
What's that?
Having sex with her in between her thighs, so then it didn't...
No. I never heard it. No, I've never heard of that. So yeah. So the thing is this: we say in Islam that, for example, if she's the age of, for example, if my son is 17 years old, and he meets a girl who's 15, what's the legal age in this country? Good. I will look at the Prophet's example, the fact that he waited for Aisha to become an adult. I will tell my son, we follow the same example. You have to wait for her to become 16. So we use the same model. Nowhere in Islam does it say you have to.
Married her at the age of 16, there's like a child marriage even if it's...
No, because we say she become an adult at the age of 9. So
at the age of 6 when they got married.
no. Okay, so
he married...
in convention in the UK, when we talk about marriage, it means sex. Well, actually, people have sex before marriage. Okay, in Islam it's different. Having a marital contract and consummating marriage is different. So a contract can be made between two individuals, and then 2 years later that individual can say, I changed my mind, and that marriage is broken. The consummation happens when she becomes an adult. Do you get it? That's why the Prophet waited for her to become an adult at the age of 9. And that's why we follow the example.
So if you was to have a daughter...
If I had a daughter, and let's say she is, for example, 12, and I have a 16-year-old boy who comes and says to me...
Or a 56-year-old man who gets married.
Okay, no problem. So for example, if I have a 50-year-old man who comes and asks my daughter's hand, I would go to my daughter and ask her, for example, this is a common question. My daughter is not going to want to marry a 50-year-old man. That's my daughter. And again, we did have that incident. There was a situation where there was a 50-year-old guy who married a 16-year-old. Again, if we believe, do you believe a 50-year-old man can marry a 16-year-old? Why not? On what basis is that wrong? Like, for example, if a 50-year-old man came and said he wants to date you or marry you, okay, why? Okay, I'm just trying to understand. Isn't the legal age 16? Okay, so why? I'm just curious. I'm just trying to. Okay, on what basis? On what basis are you saying that is not normal?
Sorry.
Okay, sorry. So 50-year-old
Yeah.
wants to date a 16-year-old. Is there anything wrong with that according to the Western world? Valid? No, there isn't.
Really?
No. Okay. Legally, is it
Legally,
illegal?
it's
Good.
fine.
Okay. So what I'm saying is,
Morally, do you not think that is wrong?
okay, then if it's morally wrong, why is the illegal age 16? So which means that if they morally saw it wrong, they would not allow it.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying, what about an 18-year-old and a 50-year-old?
Yeah.
Is it right or wrong? Wrong. But you see, it's subjective. All we're just saying is the following.
She's 9, and I don't get how she can marry somebody 6 years old.
No. But what we're saying is this, sister. You're looking at dynamics today. For you, maybe a 50-year-old, 53-year-old is an old, grumpy man. But I'm telling you, men back then and how they were, it's not. We're looking at the two dynamics, which is today's time, and we're comparing it back then.
Yeah, but if you were to put faith in a book, should it not be a book that is equivalent for all the time?
But it is. We follow that example. Remember, I told you if my daughter's 12 and a 16-year-old boy was to come and ask for a hand,
What if it was like in the Prophet's case where she was 6?
Yes.
And
but we apply the same thing. The fact that he waited 3 years for her to become an adult, we apply that to today's time and say, my daughter will have to become the age of 16, so that boy will have to wait for her 4 years. The Prophet waited 3 years for her to become an adult. He would have to wait 4 years for her to become an adult.
9 years old isn't physically like...
But again, based on what standards? You're looking at the Western world today. You're looking at a 9-year-old today. We're saying the analogy, example you have, it doesn't equate to what's going on back then. Because the lifespan is totally different. A 9-year-old today and a 9-year-old back then, they were boys going to war at the age of 12, 13. Yeah. Today you got 24-year-olds playing PlayStation at home. You can't, do you get what I'm trying to say? You can't look at a 16-year-old today and back then. So, but if we go to even Christianity, the argument, for example, in the book of Numbers, not even Rebecca, go to the book of Numbers, it tells you that Jesus, the God of the Old Testament, yes, you're right.
Don't listen to him, he's full of lies and deceit.
Thank you. She has a thing.
He's full of lies and deceit.
Thank you. So what I'm saying is, in a nutshell, it's all right, sister. So in a nutshell, what I'm saying is, I even forgot my point.
Sorry.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, sister, what we're saying is that it's two different worlds that was, and not only that, what we're saying is not a single. Oh, that was it. In Christianity, in the book of Numbers, Jesus is the God of the Old Testament. He orders men to go and kill men, women, and any girl that has not been touched by men, who's a virgin, keep them for yourself. So if we're going to reject the Prophet Muhammad based on this premise, then we'll have to reject the God of the Old Testament, the Christianity, based on that. Do you get what I'm trying to say? If we was to use the same standards. If we're going to say the Prophet Muhammad cannot be a true prophet because he married Aisha at 9.
I'm not
Yeah. If we use that, then Christianity, God stipulated taking little girls for yourself. You get what I'm trying to say? But believe me, look, sister, the Prophet, trust me, how you feel, I know what you're saying. And I thought about this. I totally understand. Before I came to Islam, I had the same concerns. How? But when I looked into it, sister, and I looked into dynamics and who the Prophet was, he married a woman who was 70 years old.
Yeah, but you can still... marry a child, you still have sexual attraction to a young person if you just had it.
If he did that, then why was his only wife, one of his wives was the only one that Aisha was 9? Why was other wives above? One was old 70, all of them were widows and divorces. If he had the inclination, why was only one of his wives? And not only that, why did he have to be a wife? He could have just done what he wanted with her, because he could say, I'm a prophet. He didn't. So which shows that his character in question, sister, is not what we think he is. Because we have white middle-aged men who are doing pedophilia and go to these countries, there is no way we can equate that to the Prophet Muhammad, because his character and who he was and his mission that he came with and how truthful he was, we look at that, we look at his life and his marriage with Aisha, there's not a single narration that Aisha says, he coerced me, he forced me, rather she was jealous, she would race with him, she would speak about good stuff. So the thing is,
Couldn't that not be because obviously she's a young girl and like you
If
can
that's
be
the-
easily manipulated?
That's true, it could have been, but if that's the case, why did it not ever come out even when he died? She could have said, you know what, all this time she stayed a widow. For the rest of her, she died a widow. It's not an impossibility. What we're saying is all I'm saying is one thing. Don't look at a 9-year-old today and a 9-year-old back then. If you do that, it's problematic. I'll be honest with you, even for me. If I look at a 9-year-old, I have a daughter, 7, and I'm thinking 2 years later, it would be problematic. But I know a 9-year-old Aisha is not the 9-year-old today. Believe me, it's not.
So like when you mean, sorry,
No, please.
when you mean like not a 9-year-old, do you mean like she was like?
She was an adult. No, she was an adult. Look, like I said before, you will have 12-year-olds, 12-year-olds
Yeah, I completely understand.
that are fully, look, let me tell you something, they are more developed than certain women.
Yeah.
So I'm saying the following, but is she not under the legal age? Do we not have
Do you not know that would still hurt the girl like?
I'm not talking about,
Physically.
yeah. What I'm saying is this, if that was the case, the Prophet would never marry her at 9. The fact that he waited 3 years means that she was sexually, mentally and physically ready to be married.
At the age of 9.
At the age of 9, but the reason you're saying that is because you're looking at a 9-year-old today. That's where the issues are. They're not the same. No, it's fine, sister. You cannot have a 9-year-old today and compare them to a 9-year-old 1,400 years ago. Do you know what 1,400 years means? 1,400 years. How old are you? 16. 16 years ago, you wasn't here. I'm talking 1,400 years ago. The dynamics are totally different. Totally different. Let me tell you something. That's the reason why not a single person in history ever contested the prophethood because of this. Not one person in history, Christians, Jews, Hindus, never came with this. You know why? Because that was the absolute norms of society, of marrying, because they were adults.
Yeah, no, I get it if
Yeah.
it's normal back then, but
No, but they were adults. It's not about normal back then. They were adults. You know how you see a 16? Are you 16? Are you an adult? You are. You're a teenager, but you're an adult. So the thing is this, look. Just as we see you as a 16-year-old adult, that was the norm then. Would anybody come and say, oh my gosh, why has she got a boyfriend? People would be like, no, she's at an illegal age. The same thing applied then. If it didn't, you would have mass people speaking against it, saying to the Prophet, why are you marrying a child? Not a single narration. But that's from upstairs, that's what I'm saying.
yeah, no, I understand.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Do you have a Quran?
No.
Can I give you one?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, thank you. It's a gift. But thank you very much, sister. Do you have any other questions?
I'm okay.
Thank you, sir. Can I have the mic?
so much.
Thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. Thanks for your questions as well. Thank you.